Welcome to One Man's Opinion yet again. Here we go again with another episode of the show that I kind of forgot I was doing. Hello. How are you doing today on this fine... Well, now it's Saturday. It was There's Friday. So hope you were rolling. And on this There's Friday just past, we had another moment I never thought we would see. I'm shocked. Vince McMahon announcing his retirement from WWE, from creative, from being a CEO, every day, just done. From wrestling, I'm assuming, because he kind of was already done anyway, but Vince McMahon is done. He's gone. And I'm shocked. Now, before I continue, let me make clear now that the opinions of this show are that of Carrie Beware alone. They're not reflected by our sponsors. Our sponsor, I should say. Mike's Harder Lemonade. I'm just kidding. That'd be cool, but no. I am drinking it, though. They want to hook me up. They want to hook me up. These are my opinions. Maybe not mine alone, but they are mine in this format. I am not speaking for anybody else but myself. So, just a minute. Alright. Now it's time to talk about this thing and how it all came to be and how it all came to pass. So, well, basically over the last few months, it's come out that Vince McMahon, who is not really somebody who was a good person anyway, like we already know he's blackmailed pay-per-view companies and probably covered up murders. At least one we pretty much know he did for Jimmy Snuka. Vince McMahon was accused of several sexual misconducts, ranging in many things involving NDAs, but he was paying money to women to not talk about these discretions. And it's gone further. It's been building up. It started out with an affair. He was having an employee, and he gave her I believe it was a good ranking position in the business side of WWE. And then it built up more, and we found out that he also was paying NDAs to two other women. One who allegedly that he propositioned for oral sex, and she consented. And then when she wouldn't do it again, he pushed her further down the card. And the other one that he sent a picture of his gross, horrible McMahon genetic jackhammer. Both paid NDAs. Now, make it clear, these are allegations, but considering there's NDAs involved, I think we could just basically say, yeah, this fucking shit happened. Like, come on, who the fuck we kidding here? Did you think Vince McMahon's paying people money to shut them up about, like, I don't know, him farting in the locker room or something? Like, no, he did this shit. In my opinion. So, he's a gross piece of shit, and it's not really new. He's also, just going away from, like, the crimes he's committed. He's booked lots of horrible shit over the years. We don't even get into, like, personal preferences, but shit like Kerwin White that was incredibly offensive. I just talked on my podcast episode. By the way, cheap plug time. So I talked about Titus O'Neil and Raw doing that weird intro that, in retrospect, it's even more funny now. Like, Jesus, who would have thought on Friday the whole house of cards would be coming down? Right? Like, what a bastard VK is. And yeah, this is my Deadpan Diaries, my podcast. Did a new episode that came out earlier for Carrie the Deadpan. There's a cheap plug for me. That's my cheap plug. Alright. So I talked about Titus on there a little bit. I thought that was funny. Stupid, but funny. But now we've reached, essentially, I would hope, that is the end of Vince McMahon ever having any kind of control of WWE. Now, will he go to jail? I doubt it. He's covered his ass way too well. He's a rich white dude. The rich white dudes get away with a lot of shit. Fuck him. But, I want to point out some things here. Alright, so, this is one man's opinion. I want to talk about a few things I've seen people bring up Gerald Briscoe had a weird tweet about how all the Marks and jabronis were happy that Vince McMahon was ousted of power. He was gone. And they don't appreciate what he did for... Let me make it very clear on this. Let me clear. I didn't appreciate what he did for the business and that stands. All right. Gerald Briscoe's stupid tweet aside, I do appreciate what Vince McMahon did for wrestling. I do appreciate it. I wouldn't be a fan if it weren't for a lot of the things he did. Make no mistake of that. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that's not true. But just because he was a good part of my childhood, WWE was part of my childhood, part of my adulthood too, that doesn't mean that the dude that made it gets to go scot-free and we need to, praise him as this great person. There are plenty of figures you can name, probably off the top of your head, that you like some of the stuff they did. It was a big part of you growing up, and then you got older, and you were like, well, they're kind of a piece of shit as a person. Whether it's because they did horrible crimes, or they just said really fucked up shit. Me and my fan fast. And case in point, almost as much as WWE was a part of my teens, Chappelle Show was a huge part of my teens. I love Chappelle Show. I still love Chappelle Show. I loved Dave Chappelle back then. Now, I don't like Dave Chappelle. I made a whole video about that. But I can still love Dave Chappelle. I can appreciate what he did for that show. I can even appreciate him, obviously, getting some comedians chances that wouldn't have their chances. But still call him out for being a bigot, being a transphobe. I think that's fair. I think you have to look at both sides of the person. And nobody is celebrating Vince McMahon being gone because of the shit that he's booking. Though, yeah, realistically, he wasn't going to... We're looking at it in the sense that he's a criminal. He's a rapist. That's disgusting. And he should be gone. Get all the rapists out of wrestling. All the sexual pests. All the creep. Get them all fucking gone. Every single one. That's what needs to be done. That's what needs to be done. But, okay. So, I've said my piece. I've done my bright side of Vince McMahon there a little bit, He is a creative genius. I do believe that. To some extent. But also, I do want to take a chance to point out that a lot of people like to give Vince all this credit for all this stuff he did, but a lot of it wasn't even his idea. Let's look at some things. Oh, by the way, there's a better video on this subject from Dave Knows Wrestling, an honest promo Vince McMahon released. It's I think Tuesday. I don't remember, but released this week. But essentially, he's basically been told to hire people that would have been bigger stars, that would have been his big stars, but he didn't want to hire him. Like Bobby Heenan, when he hired Bobby Heenan, he's like, you should hire Hulk Hogan. And he's like, okay. Now, granted, he took a chance, put the Rocket Hogan's back, and shot him to the moon, right? He had that initiative, fair enough. But still, no Bobby Heenan telling him? Who knows? Who knows if he would have had that deal? Oh, by the way, you want to know how shitty a person Vince McMahon is? Besides this, besides we already know he's a rapist and blackmailer and shit. Here's another story about Bobby Heenan. Here's the guy that helped him get his biggest star, and also helped push a lot of good heels, a lot of people who are basically Hogan's enemies, right? Bobby Heenan, around WrestleMania 2 time, he was in the hospital with a serious injury, and he was literally just laying in bed, basically trying to heal up. He gets a call from the office. It wasn't from Vince, it was from somebody working for him, but they basically told him, if you don't appear at WrestleMania 2, then you'll be fired and you won't be contacted again. So poor Bobby Heenan had to get out of his bed, fly out to LA, and then in the main event, basically get his ass kicked by Hogan. After Hogan already won a cage match, mind you, because Hulk Hogan is a dickhead of a character, beating up this poor fat manager, who, yeah, he's a bad dude. He's a dude you're supposed to hate, but he was opposed to no physical threat to Hogan, especially at that point. He'd already won, and he beat his ass, bounced him around the cage, and then Heenan had to go back on a plane, go back in the hospital, and just lay back in bed. Because that's the kind of way he rewards people who work for him, who have helped build him up. That's fucked up. It's one thing to shit on somebody, that works for you in general. It's bad already, but to go an extra mile. Go on with it. JR and Kevin Nash had to basically convince him to hire Stone Cold Steve Austin in '96, and he wanted to make him the remaster. Don't forget that. He wanted to make Rocky Maivia. Hell, Roman Reigns had to tell him to turn him heel. He had to make the Tribal Chief character. So for all this stuff of Vince McMahon's genius. Yeah, he's a genius. He made The Undertaker. Undertaker's genius. He made Goldust genius. There's probably other ones I'm missing. Those are the top two on the top of my head that would be genius. And there's other characters that he's pushed for. But a lot of stuff, he had a lot of help becoming a genius. and like stuff like the Royal Rumble, Mankind too. Mankind's also genius. I like Mankind. Really great character. Like the Royal Rumble, Pat Patterson said he hated it. What was another one? He didn't even want to do the War Games match. Basically, Triple H had to keep do it. Triple H also made it to the Elimination Chamber. So yeah, he's done some good stuff, but sometimes I think people give him too much credit for saying like, oh, well, he helped invent wrestling and he'll make wrestling as big as it is. Also, just going back like what 28 years or so, if you watch someone like I'm gonna be honest here, I'm gonna be real. I'm glad that I started watching wrestling in the Attitude Era and then transitioned to the Ruthless Aggression Era. Because if I started watching the New Generation Era, I probably would not have been a fan that long because it's pretty bad. There's some good stuff there, but aside from the Click and Bret Hart and a few other wrestlers every once in a while and storylines, it's really bad. And even the good stuff is usually marred with a lot of bullshit. Like, I do kind of have a soft spot for the Midnight Corporation. I just kind of enjoy the gimmick. I like Bam Bam Bigelow a lot, maybe that's why. But yeah, this whole thing, like, it's really bad. And this is Vince McMahon basically when he has no competition and he's lost his top stars. He's just kind of bullshitting. I could go on. Like, Helvation Booger was the creation. I would shit too. Recent Marky D video about that. But I think that's enough. I think that's enough opinion for now. And fuck Vince McMahon for his crimes. But thank you. Thank you for the memories you have given us fans. I'll give you that. And at one time, maybe even still today, you were my favorite heel in all of wrestling. When your feud with Stone Cold Steve Austin was above beyond. I saw all the other stuff you did as a heel and character. Brilliant. Like, you were a monster. Doesn't help knowing that you were a piece of shit in real life and you were a monster in real life too. Whoa, that sucks. But I'll thank you for that. And I'll leave one last good story that I heard from Solid Monster. Solid Monster sounds off. It was a few years ago. It was after a SummerSlam. I think it was SummerSlam 2019. And Vince McMahon was celebrating his birthday at a bowling alley and having some drinks with some other people. I think like, some of the like Pat Patterson and Pritchard or something. No, Pritchard and like Kevin Dunn. I don't know. So they're chilling, and this guy comes up to Vince McMahon, and he wanted to talk to him. He was a fan. He said, "Hey, I want to talk to you." And he said, "I want to thank you for all the wonderful memories you gave me over the years." And Vince McMahon was really touched by this, and the two of them had a little fun bowling game, like a bowling game, and had some beers, and he took a picture of Vince, and that's a story. I think that's a beautiful story. It does show, like, people, it's a wonderful, he has done some good, he's made people have these wonderful memories and given them great stuff. Informed a lot of who we are today. So made that clear, and still a piece of shit as human. So that's all I want to say, that's enough. Made a short little video here. Can't really think of anything else to say, but have yourself a great Saturday and a weekend.